Red Bull. Before it became the most recognized energy drink on the planet, it was a small tin can with a modest name and an even more modest origin. An Austrian entrepreneur named Dietrich Mateschitz discovered a Thai beverage called Krating Dang during a business trip in 1982, noticed it seemed to cure his jet lag, and spent the next 5 years adapting the formula for Western markets. The drink that emerged in 1987 was built on 4 core ingredients: caffeine, taurine, B vitamins, and sugar, all dissolved into carbonated water. Taurine is an amino acid the human body produces naturally, found in muscle tissue and the brain, and its pairing with caffeine gave the drink a functional identity that felt different from soda. Each 8.4-ounce can carries around 80 milligrams of caffeine, roughly matching a small cup of coffee, but the carbonation and the tart, slightly medicinal flavor made it feel like something new entirely. What Mateschitz understood was that the product did not need to compete with soft drinks on taste. It needed to feel like it did something, and for millions of people, it did. Monster Energy. By the time Monster arrived in 2002, Red Bull had already defined the category, and Hansen Natural had no intention of playing it safe. The can was twice the size, the branding was aggressive, and the formula was built to match the scale. Monster's recipe uses what the brand calls its Monster Energy Blend, a combination of caffeine, taurine, ginseng, L-carnitine, and B vitamins, delivering around 160 milligrams of caffeine in a standard 16-ounce can. Ginseng, a root with centuries of use in traditional East Asian medicine, was included partly for its perceived mental clarity benefits, and partly because it signaled something more serious than a sugary pick-me-up. L-carnitine is an amino acid the body uses to convert fat into usable energy. Monster never tried to be subtle about any of this. The drink was sweet, heavy, and made for people who wanted more of everything. It worked. Monster grew into the second largest energy drink brand in the world, and its formula became a template that dozens of competitors tried to replicate. Rockstar Energy. It had the timing right and the size right before almost anyone else. Launched in 2001, Rockstar was among the first brands to sell energy drinks in a 16-ounce format, essentially doubling the standard serving size at a time when most of the market was still in small cans. The formula brings together caffeine, taurine, guarana, ginseng, and milk thistle extract, a combination that reads like a survey of every plant extract the wellness world had grown fond of by the early 2000s. Guarana is a vine native to the Amazon basin, whose seeds contain roughly twice the caffeine concentration of coffee beans, so any drink using it is layering caffeine on top of caffeine without always advertising that fact. Milk thistle, less flashy but quietly present in the blend, comes from a flowering plant historically used in European herbal medicine, with a particular reputation for supporting liver function. Rockstar was acquired by PepsiCo in 2020 for nearly $4 billion, a transaction that said more about where the energy drink market had arrived than almost anything else that year. Ghost Energy. It came into the market carrying something most energy drink brands deliberately avoided: transparency. Where older brands listed proprietary blends without disclosing exact amounts, Ghost published every ingredient dose clearly on the label, a move that resonated immediately with a fitness-literate audience tired of guessing what they were actually consuming. The formula contains 200 milligrams of natural caffeine, derived from coffee bean extract, alongside acetyl L-carnitine, alpha-GPC, and a patented ingredient called neurofactor, which is extracted from the fruit of the coffee plant and studied for its potential to support brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein involved in cognitive function. Alpha-GPC is a compound more commonly found in nootropic stacks than in canned beverages, and its presence here was a deliberate signal that Ghost was positioning itself at the intersection of energy and mental performance. The brand launched in 2016 from the supplement world, built its audience through collaborations and social media, and brought a formulation philosophy that treated consumers as people capable of reading a nutrition label. Celsius. It was designed with a specific argument baked into the can, that an energy drink could also support your metabolism. The formula uses caffeine sourced from green tea extract and guarana seed extract, rather than synthetic caffeine, which provides a somewhat more gradual stimulation. Ginger root adds a mild thermogenic quality, meaning the body generates a small amount of additional heat while metabolizing it, a process that has been studied in connection with modest caloric burn. The vitamin blend includes C, B6, B12, and chromium, the last of which plays a role in how the body processes glucose. Total caffeine lands around 200 milligrams per can. There is no sugar in the formula, only sucralose, and the drink is lightly carbonated with a cleaner flavor profile than most of its predecessors. Celsius spent years as a niche product before a single partnership with Costco changed its distribution trajectory in the early 2020s. It subsequently became one of the fastest growing beverage brands in the United States, driven almost entirely by gym culture and a growing consumer preference for drinks that at least appeared to serve a health purpose. 5 Hour Energy. It rejected the entire format of the category and replaced it with 2 ounces of liquid. The product launched in 2004 and was built around a single practical insight. Most people drinking energy drinks did not actually want a large beverage. They wanted the effect. The shot format contains a concentrated blend of B vitamins, around 200 milligrams of caffeine in the regular strength version, and a proprietary mix including taurine, glucuronolactone, malic acid, and N-acetyltyrosine. Glucuronolactone is a compound the body produces naturally through glucose metabolism, and it shows up in several energy formulas with claims around sustained energy and focus, though the clinical evidence behind it remains thin. N-acetyltyrosine is a more bioavailable form of the amino acid tyrosine, which the body uses to produce dopamine and norepinephrine, 2 chemicals involved in alertness and motivation. The shot was designed to be consumed in seconds, leave no aftertaste lingering through a 16-ounce drink, and fit in a shirt pocket. It became a staple at gas station checkout counters and reached a level of cultural penetration that few beverage products achieve without a single dominant flavor. NOS Energy Drink. It borrowed its name from the nitrous oxide systems used to boost engine performance in racing, and the can was deliberately shaped to echo a nitrous canister. The visual identity was automotive. The formula, however, was more measured than the branding suggested. NOS contains caffeine, taurine, and B vitamins, which places it in familiar territory, but the addition of L-theanine gave it a slightly different character. L-theanine is an amino acid found naturally in tea leaves, and when combined with caffeine, it has a well-documented effect of smoothing out the sharper edges of stimulation, reducing the anxious or jittery quality that some people experience from caffeine alone, while preserving the alertness. This combination has become increasingly popular as formulators have learned more about how individual ingredients interact, rather than simply stacking them for cumulative effect. NOS never became a top-tier seller, but it held a consistent place in the market by appealing to people who wanted something that felt both functional and familiar. C4 Energy. It did not start as a beverage. The C4 name belonged to a pre-workout powder produced by Nutribol, and for years it lived on the shelves of supplement stores alongside protein tubs and creatine containers. When Nutribol moved into the canned drink market, they brought the formula with them rather than starting fresh. The result is a drink that carries 200 milligrams of caffeine alongside beta-alanine, citrulline, and B vitamins, a combination that reads more like a pre-workout supplement than a traditional energy drink. Beta-alanine is an amino acid that buffers lactic acid in muscles during high-intensity exercise and is responsible for the tingling sensation on the skin that surprises many people who encounter it for the first time. Citrulline supports the production of nitric oxide in the body, which relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation, an effect particularly relevant during exercise. C4 Energy was one of the clearest examples of the supplement industry's migration into the beverage aisle, and its success helped convince other supplement brands that the crossover was commercially viable. Sting Energy. It occupies a category almost entirely separate from the Western energy drink market, though the two share the same basic architecture. Produced by PepsiCo for markets across South Asia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and parts of Eastern Europe, Sting is built from caffeine, taurine, ginseng extract, and a notably high sugar content that would feel out of step with the low sugar direction most American and European brands have taken in recent years. The ginseng used is typically Panax ginseng, the variety cultivated in Korea and China, whose roots have been incorporated into tonics, teas, and medicinal preparations for over 2,000 years. In the markets where Sting is sold, it is often priced at the lowest accessible tier of the energy drink segment, making it the entry point for consumers in countries where Red Bull or Monster would represent a significant expense. The formula itself is not dramatically different from a 1990s Western energy drink, but that is precisely why it works where it does. It delivers familiar stimulation in a sweet, approachable format that suits local palates without demanding premium pricing.